Do you know the mayor, Tiffany?
Yeah.
Hero or villain?
Villain! He's a gangster.
Mayor Tiffany, hero or villain?
She's a villain. She really don't be doing nothing for us. She tried to make a big show, a big act, but she's not doing stuff that really needs to be done.
So Mayor Tiffany, hero or villain?
From what I know, villain. Her security guards is getting like 300 hours on their checks and stuff.
DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me. Thank you, DJ.
Completely tinted car. They following me wherever I'm going. I'm not afraid. Who are you? It's police cars all around me, and they Dalton. These are all Dalton police officers, and I want to tell y'all really got the right got the right one, bruh.
A couple of cars got shot up. My tenant's cars got shot up. One got shot up 9 times. The other one had 2 rounds in.
If the folks in the village of Dalton had a time machine, they'd never even think about voting Tiffany Henyard in as mayor.
Mayor Tiffany, hero or villain?
She's a villain. She really don't be doing nothing for us. She tried to make a big show, a big act, but she's not doing stuff that really needs to be done.
Dalton used to be your typical suburban spot, full of festivals, parades, and its own fair share of issues. But ever since 2021, when Tiffany took office, it's been anything but peaceful. She likes to call herself the super mayor and claims to be the most powerful woman on Chicago's South Side. However, people on the internet and her own community see her as the most corrupt mayor in America.
Answer. Of course I do. Tiffany stole money from a cancer foundation. How dare you? How dare you steal and I helped you with your campaign?
You say that you're the worst mayor in America, I agree.
Tiffany's literally running the village like a crime boss, ripping business licenses from anyone who doesn't contribute to her so-called charity. She's deep in pay-for-play kickbacks and bribes, taking first-class trips funded by taxpayers and even making them pay for a personal ice skating rink.
It's your mayor, Tiffany A. Henyard, the people's mayor. We're finally in the second phase of Greenwood Falls. And remember, we do this for you.
When she's having something, is the ice skating rink open?
So she basically has a personal ice rink that she's funded through taxpayer dollars and gets to use for her own parties.
Yes.
Then there's the crazy marketing budget she's using for self-promotion. Tiffany's face is plastered on 122 billboards across town, and she's spending tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars each month on a PR firm trying to clean up her image, which, let's be real, is a tough job.
And she be having her names all on the trucks and stuff, like it be everywhere.
Bills obtained by Fox 32 under open records laws shows Thornton Township paid more than $10,000 for the vinyl signs themselves.
She's double dipping as both the mayor of Dalton and the village of Thornton Township supervisor. And get this, she's made it so that if she's not re-elected as a supervisor, the next person will take a 90% pay cut.
To ensure that Henyard continues to receive her $224,000 a year salary as township supervisor. As if someone challenges Henyard and beats her, the salary for that position drops to just $25,000 a year, a pay cut of nearly 90%.
Tiffany's racked up credit card debt like she's aiming for a record, and she's known to tell residents, "Be better have my money," while comparing herself to Martin Luther King Jr.
DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me. Thank you, DJ.
That's just scratching the surface. Rumors say she acts like a crime boss, with her own goons being the local police department.
Using the police as her scapegoat to intimidate, retaliate. People speak against her, they're giving people tickets. It's just a lot of stuff.
The police are in her pocket?
Yes.
Are they on her payroll or what?
Police are payroll.
Some folks claim she's had cars of her opponents shot up and organized drive-by shootings against rival politicians.
You have no business to come by my house. And what did she want? So she said nothing. 6:30 in the morning, all type of rounds was flying, and actually some of the rounds was in my yard. A couple of cars got shot up. My tenant's cars got shot up. One got shot up 9 times. The other one had 2 rounds in.
Tiffany rolls around town in a convoy with heavy private security, of course, all funded by taxpayers. She's supposedly got the police in her back pocket because of the insane amount of overtime she allows them to clock in on. also at the taxpayer's expense.
So Mayor Tiffany, hero or villain?
From what I know, villain. Her security guards is getting like 300 hours on their checks and stuff.
How does a person put in a 2-week pay period, 303 hours? That's impossible.
How are you securing somebody in your sleep? How are you getting 300 hours so you know that she's pulling money from somewhere?
She uses the police as her personal thugs to shut down any business that dares to speak out against her.
Henyard, now a regular target of criticism, Dalton employees and local business owners started feeling the heat, claiming they faced retaliation when they refused to support the mayor.
Shut down, but if I move my event to her location on Greenwood, that I will be fine.
Did you take that as a threat?
Yes, I took that as bullying.
Tiffany even bribes citizens with free food to buy their votes and keep them quiet, just like the mafia used to do. In public, she's been known to declare, "I'm the boss here," and she's accused of harassing and stalking people.
Y'all forget I am the leader. They want to hear from the mayor. If y'all ain't learned that yet, the mayor, not the trustees that don't do nothing, that only run their mouth.
Completely tinted car. They following me wherever I'm going. I'm not afraid. Who are you? It's police cars all around me, and they don't. These are all Dalton police officers, and I want to tell y'all really got the right got the right one, bruh.
This woman's done so much damage to what was once a peaceful town. Now, after misusing funds and plunging the village of Dalton into over $3.5 million in debt, she's suddenly gone off the grid.
The village of Dalton is more than $3.5 million in the hole. Mayor Tiffany Henyard is accused of misusing money, and today, she's nowhere to be found.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard didn't respond to any of my requests today, and I'm told she's not in the building.
Tiffany Henyard's scandals are on a whole other level, so let's dive into the mess she's made.
Did you know the Mayor Tiffany?
Yeah.
Hero or villain?
Villain! He's a gangster.
So federal agents have officially launched a criminal investigation into Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor who's been calling herself the super mayor. Last week, they issued a subpoena demanding a whole pile of her business records and financial reports. On Friday, FBI agents served these subpoenas to Henyard at the Thornton Township Hall. This wasn't just a quick drop-off. They delivered 2 subpoenas focusing on Henyard's private ventures and her work with the township, according to reports from a local station that got their hands on the documents. Let's break it down. The first subpoena dives deep into Henyard's personal affairs and all the ventures she's tied up in. The feds are on the hunt for personnel files, wage and tax documents, time and attendance records, contracts, and even checks written to cash from her various business operations. That includes her restaurant, a property management company, her political action committee, and a charity named after her. It's clear they're looking to piece together a big picture of her financial dealings. The second subpoena shifts the focus to the township, demanding access to a treasure trove of financial documents like budgets, payroll records, and ordinances related to credit card purchases, expense reports, reimbursements, security details, and vehicle usage. Former FBI agent Ross Rice weighed in on the situation after reviewing the subpoenas. He pointed out that the scope of the investigation is huge, encompassing many people and entities. Rice was quoted saying, "It's very broad in scope. It's very broad in the number of people and entities they're asking for records on. So there must be some serious allegations of wrongdoing that they're trying to get to the bottom of. So what's all the fuss about? Let's take a closer look at the many accusations swirling around this super mayor. The first major allegation against Henyard's office came back in March 2024. It was a bombshell claim that she had misused taxpayer money to cover a slew of her personal and pretty pricey expenses. Tiffany Henyard didn't take this sitting down. She straight up vetoed a resolution that aimed to investigate her spending. This resolution came on the heels of allegations that she splurged on lavish trips and $1 million police detail just for herself. Seriously, she was practically emptying the town's bank account to maintain her own private army. Originally, the Dalton, Illinois Village Board unanimously decided to look into Henyard's actions by calling on her to submit the village's financial records for review and inviting the FBI to start its own investigation into her conduct. However, in true Henyard fashion, she issued a veto, claiming that the resolution was the result of personal attacks against her and stemmed from one-sided narratives. Here's what she had to say during a village board meeting. "As you can see, our village, our community, myself, we are under attack. It's a shame that people can come to meetings and just tell one side of the stories and not get the entire side of both stories. This is a woman with a whole laundry list of accusations against her. Do you remember when she came under fire for using the local police force as her personal security detail detail, she was paying them a whopping $1 million to act as her bodyguards.
A part-time mayor of a south suburban village of a little more than 20,000 people.
Yet residents of Dalton are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to provide security for their self-proclaimed super mayor.
It was so bad that the local police chief started complaining that her demands were interfering with their ability to do their jobs and keep the community safe. And then there's her move to shoot down the Dalton Village Board's unanimous vote to start an investigation into her alleged misuse of taxpayer money. Given everything that's been going on, you might be onto something if you think that something fishy is going on here. But don't forget, this is just one of many scandals she's been embroiled in. If you thought the $1 million personal security detail was the end of it, you'd be wrong. Here's the next scandal on the list. In March 2024, village trustees asked for a third-party investigator to check out some suspicious spending on Henyard's trips, according to the Washington Examiner. They specifically wanted to look into a trip she took to Las Vegas with 2 other village trustees. Now, a previous investigation into the trip found no wrongdoing, but the other trustees were still skeptical. They wanted a thorough and independent investigation to clear up any doubts. That's when former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was brought in as the special investigator to dig into the spending habits of Dalton's self-proclaimed super mayor. The Dalton trustees voted in favor of a resolution to hire former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot as a special investigator, agreeing to pay her a steep $400 per hour. Her task was to dive deep into the spending habits of the woman now famously dubbed the worst mayor in America because of her reckless use of public funds on lavish 5-star hotel stays and first-class travel. Taking on her new role, Lightfoot said, "The people in this village want something different. They want to go in a different direction." It's clear that she was ready to get to the bottom of this financial fiasco and shake things up in Dalton. Back in 2023, Henyard, along with 2 village trustees and a few village employees, took a trip to Las Vegas. During this trip, it was alleged that Henyard spent money like it was going out of style. We're talking about funds that were supposed to be for the town, not her personal vacation. Although a previous investigation into this Vegas trip didn't find any evidence of wrongdoing, many trustees still felt like something just wasn't adding up. One of the trustees, Jason House, was particularly vocal about his concerns. He believed the initial investigation wasn't conducted in good faith, and that there was still plenty of smoke around Henyard's spending habits. Jason put it like this: "This is about more than just getting the financial documentation for the board members. This would empower the state to actually issue the check once it's been voted on by the board. And honestly, you can't really blame him for being frustrated. No one likes to see their hard-earned tax dollars being thrown around like confetti. It's about accountability, transparency, and trust in the people elected to serve the community." So now, the trustees are pushing Lightfoot to take a closer look at Henyard's Las Vegas escapade. Under the terms of their agreement, Lightfoot will provide a full report of her findings once her bill for the investigation hits the $30,000 mark. But this is where it gets tricky because Henyard isn't someone you just mess with casually. As mentioned before, she runs such a tight ship that even mafia bosses would be green with envy. This isn't a joke, folks. She's not playing around, and she's got the reputation to prove it. To complicate matters, Lightfoot doesn't have the authority of a law enforcement agency backing her up. This means she doesn't have the power to issue subpoenas. Her only option is to ask for the full cooperation of the mayor and her team. This makes the investigation feel like an uphill battle before it even starts. It's a tough spot to be in, especially when dealing with someone as formidable as Henyard. Even Lightfoot knows she's in for a tough ride. She acknowledged the challenges ahead, saying, "I'm expecting there will be some roadblocks, but I am a very determined person."
I know how I felt when I started seeing these numbers. So I can imagine how all of you are feeling after all this time being in the dark.
Here's where things get even more complicated. A law firm representing the village of Dalton warned the trustees that hiring Lightfoot might be stepping out of line with their official duties. According to the lawyers, the trustees do not have the power to investigate or to retain someone to investigate, and they predicted that Henyard wouldn't approve payments to Lightfoot for this investigation. So it looks like the trustees are facing a serious uphill battle here. This isn't going to be a walk in the park for anyone involved. In true Henyard fashion, her reaction has been to claim that the whole thing is nothing more than a witch hunt fueled by misogyny. She she's sticking to her guns, insisting that the village board is just a boys' club that doesn't want women like her in leadership positions. She's made it clear that she plans to fight back against what she sees as a smear campaign aimed at taking her down. She didn't hold back during her speech at the village board meeting, saying, "I'm going to always fight for what's right and I always stay the course, and I will be victorious when all the dust clears." Those are some bold words, and they show just how determined she is to push through this mess and come out on top. When the conversation shifted to the topic of the $1 million security budget, Henyard justified it by saying it was necessary due to threats against her. According to her, being the mayor comes with a certain level of risk, and having that much security is just part of the job.
Security is warranted due to the fact of threats and things of that nature, but what people are not stating is it's in our CBA. That's our collective bargaining agreement. That's our union contract. So it comes with the seat.
At the same village board meeting, Henyard admitted to a whopping $2 million deficit in the village's budget. Dolton owes over $427,000 for street paving and another $400,000 for tree trimming services, so it's only natural for people to wonder if she's really innocent and this is all just a misogynistic witch hunt like she claims. Then what exactly happened to all that money? And it doesn't stop there. Members of the village board, who have promised to override Henyard's veto at next month's meeting, are saying that the deficit is actually millions more than what Henyard is estimating. According to former trustee Edward Steve, the mayor can blame everybody for what's going on, but she has to look at herself. It's pretty clear that even within the village leadership, there's a lot of tension and distrust when it comes to Henyard's management of Dolton's finances. It's not just the trustees who are speaking out. Regular folks in the village are also starting to voice their concerns about how Henyard has been handling things.
Mayor Tiffany, hero or villain?
She's a villain. She really don't be doing nothing for us. She tried to make a big show, big act, but she's not doing stuff that really needs to be done.
So Mayor Tiffany, hero or villain?
From what I know, villain. Her security guards is getting like 300 hours on their checks and stuff.
Tiffany, hero or villain?
Villain.
How is Tiffany doing with taxpayer money?
I don't have enough information, and that kind of goes to the root of the problem. There isn't much transparency.
Now remember when we said the mayor seemed to be running the town like it was the mafia? Well, buckle up, because this next bit is something straight out of a crime drama. Let's start with the situation involving former village trustee Valeria Stubbs, who was never shy about calling out Mayor Henyard. Stubbs made some pretty serious claims that she faced retaliation from Henyard, and she didn't mince words about it. In an interview, Stubbs said that Henyard not only harassed her, but also went as far as sending people to her house to intimidate her and her tenants. According to Stubbs, these weren't just idle threats. She alleged that Henyard sent hitmen to shoot up the cars of 2 of her tenants.
6:30 in the morning, all type of rounds was flying, and actually some of the rounds was in my yard. A couple of cars got shot up. My tenants' cars got shot up. One got shot up 9 times. The other one had 2 rounds.
Now, that's a heavy accusation, and it's not something anyone would say lightly. Stubbs, who had been quite vocal against the mayor, also claimed that Henyard had cozy relations with the local police department. The idea was that by being in cahoots with the cops, Henyard could make sure any complaints against her were just swept under the rug. Stubbs' allegations paint a picture of a mayor who wasn't afraid to use her influence to silence her critics. She believes that her home was targeted in a drive-by shooting because of her ongoing feud with Henyard. Given the mayor's reputation and the accusations of her lavish spending and alleged misuse of village funds, Stubbs feels that the shooting was Henyard's way of sending a message. To anyone thinking that Stubbs might just be another disgruntled ex-employee with an axe to grind, there's some pretty compelling evidence that something shady went down. Last July, 2 cars belonging to tenants of Stubbs, who is a retired Cook County Sheriff's Office member, were shot up. We're talking about 9 bullet holes between the 2 vehicles. That's not exactly something that happens every day, especially to someone involved in a public spat with the town's mayor. Stubbs didn't pull any punches when she was asked if she thought Henyard was behind the attack. She flat out said, "Absolutely." And this isn't the first time she's had run-ins with the mayor. Stubbs mentioned that Henyard had come to her house to menace her several times, even during a snowstorm last winter. If this is true, it's not hard to see how things could escalate from verbal threats to something much more dangerous. The feud between Stubbs and Henyard hit a boiling point when Stubbs publicly accused the mayor of hiring a registered ex-offender as a village code enforcement officer. Stubbs was adamant that this person had no business holding that position and demanded that Henyard remove him. That's a pretty serious accusation on its own. And the fact that Henyard didn't respond publicly to these claims only adds to the intrigue. And then, there's the American citizen facing some serious intimidation and stalking allegations by the mayor herself, alongside her police chief. This all came to light when Jedediah Brown, a community activist, decided to dig up some dirt on the Dolton Police Department. Let's rewind a bit to understand how Brown ended up being the target of this intense pressure. Brown had initially stepped into the scene to uncover issues surrounding Andrew Holmes, a trustee involved in some scandalous accusations of misconduct in Las Vegas last year. But in the process, Brown stumbled upon some alarming secrets about Dolton's police department, and he was determined to bring them to light. Jedediah Brown is no stranger to activism, and he's made it his mission to expose corruption wherever he finds it. But in Dolton, he struck a nerve. The more he uncovered about the police department's corruption and unprofessional behavior, the more of a thorn he became in Mayor Tiffany Henyard's side. Things got so tense that one of the police officers, Officer Staples, went as far as to file a restraining order against Brown. It was a bizarre move, considering Brown had never even met or contacted Staples. This just seemed like a desperate attempt to silence a vocal critic.
Video of one of your officers having in your jail cell. How does that woman become internal affairs for your police department, and then I get served with a restraining order today from that woman, and you allow her to be a police officer still in your department?
If you looked at Henyard's face when Brown started exposing these systematic problems within her police department, it was clear as day that she was fuming. She wasn't just upset about the general accusations. She was angry about the salacious details that Brown was bringing to the forefront. And who could blame her? No mayor wants their town's dirty laundry aired for everyone to see. Fast forward to the court date for this restraining order, things got even weirder. The hearing wasn't even taking place in Dolton, it was in Markham. But despite that, Dolton police officers, including one named Lacey, showed up in full force. You have to ask yourself, why were they there? They had no jurisdiction or business being in Markham, so their presence raised a lot of eyebrows. It seemed like these officers were more interested in making a statement than actually doing their jobs, which should have been protecting the people of Dolton. Brown immediately saw the restraining order as a frivolous attempt to scare him off. He'd never had any contact with Staples, so the whole thing was a head-scratcher. But it became pretty clear that this wasn't about the restraining order at all. It was a show of force by the police, orchestrated to intimidate Brown and any of his supporters. When Brown arrived at the courthouse, he was met with an excessive display of power. Officers and high-ranking officials all present in a calculated effort to shake him up.
Me at courthouse, and I'm just going for my own safety record like everybody else is doing. That dude right there in the back is Dalton Police Chief Lacey. Dalton Police Chief Lacey. My lawyer said I can record in here, just can't do it inside of the courthouse. Lacey, since you got all your officers here, how many protecting dogs?
This wasn't just blue backing blue. It was a deliberate intimidation tactic designed to psychologically unsettle Brown and anyone else watching. It was an old-school power move, reminiscent of something you'd see in a movie about corrupt cops and shady politicians. And everyone knew who was pulling the strings behind this spectacle: Mayor Tiffany Henyard. At this point, it's crystal clear that Mayor Henyard has some serious explaining to do. The people of Dolton are fed up with the intimidation, the harassment, and the blatant misuse of power. They're hoping that justice will finally catch up with Henyard and that she'll face the consequences of her actions.